The topic says keeping up with the unicorns. And while I don't know how you're keeping up with the unicorns, but DBS has been a very digital bank for a while, right? So I'm going to start from there, right? You guys were one of the pioneers in saying that, hey, you know what, let's not go branch banking, but actually start the digital banking initiative.
That's
And
right. That's right.
doing this much before the Paytms of the world and so on and so forth, right?
That's right.
So how have you evolved since then? What's been the challenges? How's it going?
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for having me. And yes, DigiBank, when it was launched in 2016, was a paperless, branchless, and signatureless bank. That's what our promise was. And when I was talking to Apoorv, and the surprise was evident in his conversation that the fact that we are so digital is something that wasn't he wasn't aware, and hence the question that was put to me was, are we being able? How are we be able to fare with the unicorns, right? So let me actually give you a bit of a background about us. And if you hear any of our group CEOs interviews, one of the things that he talks and he very passionately sort of believes in is he calls us a technology company who sells banking services. We are, in fact, world's best digital bank for the last 2 years, rather 2 years in the last 3 years. And half of our technology budget is spent in experimenting with newer technology like metaverse, right? So technology comes very naturally with us, to us. I mean, I'll give you another interesting statistic. Our organization has more engineers than bankers. So
Wow.
that's us, right? One of the other things that he talks about very actively is the importance of data, and a lot of us were talking about it today. But what he believes is that we all sort of talk about the impact of that technology has had in our lives, and what he believes, and hence all of us at DBS believes, that data is actually going to be a bigger transformer, and what is going to bring a bigger change in all our lives. And which is why we at DBS have embraced and harnessed data truly. And just for instance, I mean, just a while back, it was only let's say the bureau data that was used to check customers credit worthiness, right? Now with the advent of the huge amount of data that's available, it's data, and a lot of which is actually not financial data, which can check a customer's credit worthiness. So basically we truly believe in this n equal to 1 marketing, and through the course of our conversation we're going to sort of talk a little bit more about it. And another thing that sort of we sort of again truly believe in the power of people, processes, and technology. So
Wow.
we have actually our automated engines, and we have our automated nudges that we use very very frequently for all the retention marketing and all the other sort of consumer marketing work that we do. So I mean, I
Right.
think what unicorns are doing today is something that we've done long back, and we're the
Wow.
ones. Yeah.
So, I was, we were discussing outside that how DBS makes products looking at data, right? Like, because you've been digital first and there's been a lot of data, right? What are some cool products? And I know I'm skipping away, but what are some cool products you think you guys have developed? Like, now we have neobanks, we have this, that, and so on and so forth. And you've been doing it for a while. What would be
Yeah.
like one or so product that you think you've developed,
Yeah.
which
So
people are not aware of
yeah.
as well?
So again, the core promise of our bank is live more, bank less. When we say that, we don't essentially mean that we want you to bank less, but what we mean is that we believe that banking needs to be so seamless and so non-intrusive that you can actually focus on doing things that matter truly to you, which is your life, right? So everything that we do is with that lens. Uh, we sort of again we truly believe in cognitive banking, right? And like I was saying, this sort of hyper personalization and n equal to 1 banking, that's
Can
when.
I know what cognitive banking is, to be fairly? Like, I'm sure a lot of people would want to
So
know.
yeah, that's yeah, exactly. So what we sort of call intelligent banking. So let me give you an example, right? Which is we have our own customers data, right? And the kind of financial transactions that they do and what their consumer behavior is. What we do is that we what we have internally, something called the DDOM structures, which is that sort of data enabled marketing ops, right? So what we do is that at a very individual, at personal level, we know that what your consumer behavior has been, right? And what we then uh, do is that we do a bit of insight mining on it. So we don't just leave data as information. That data which gives us information turns into knowledge and turns into, let's say, insights, right, for each of the
So are you saying
customers.
you tailor make products for digital products or financial products for your customers?
No, so I'll just sort of talk about the insights that we have for the customers, right? For each of these customers. So, I mean, just for me, I mean, I'm not a traditional banker, right? Like I actually
Sure.
have spent most of my life in advertising. So when I see that data can sort of give me so much insight about a customer, it just truly excites me. And for instance, let's say you've used your banking, the DBS banking, and you're
Sure.
using it on app, right? And we have all that information. Now, banks have alerts, right? Alerts like you had, an ATM transaction, or, you've sort of transferred money. But we
Sure.
have something which is more predictive and not just something which is responsive. So, for instance, let's say there is a money that comes into your account every month. Let's say a rent that comes into your
Sure.
account, right? And this 1 month that rent hasn't hit into your account. Our that intelligent banking is smart enough to alert you that you
Wow.
know that this is something that's not hit to your account, and listen, you need to go and talk to your sort of
So
guy that
if you are a
you're
homeowner and if you have multiple properties, I think you got to be on DBS Bank because you get reminders of the fact whether you have a credit of
yeah, and
the
that's
rent
just
or
one
not.
of the
Brilliant. I
things.
feel that's pretty
So
brilliant.
another example is that you have Netflix subscriptions or other
Yep.
subscriptions, right? And let's say the husband and wife are both sort of paying for that subscription, and let's say you paid it, or your partner or also paid it, right?
Sure.
There would be an alert that you've made this payment twice over, right? And that'll, I mean, it's going to be a smart alert to say that this is something that you've done twice and you need to sort of check that, right?
Sure.
Or, I mean, from a business perspective, right? If you have a large fund coming into your account, I can give you a nudge that, don't just spend it all, convert it into a fixed deposit, for instance, right? So it's extremely intelligent, and
Sure.
we can help what we call get a customer into a smarter relationship with his money, right? Because
Wow.
most often than not, what happens with us, the biggest sort of dilemma that we all have is that I don't know where my money goes. And this intelligent banking can actually really keep you on top of your money. And for instance, let's say you've spent a lot in the last month on more than average on, let's say, coffee, or on sort of internet sort of purchases, right? It is going to tell you that, listen, your spend last month on, let's say, coffee or buying games online has been more than what you typically
Sure.
do, right? So it really sort of helps you. I mean, like I said, the promise is that you're going to have a smarter relationship with your money. So yeah, so that's
Brilliant.
one.
Now I think everybody gets what cognitive banking is. I think pretty cool use cases you've given us. And in fact, I realize that you do what WebEngage does. You give insights to your customers on a financial data, right?
Yeah,
Like pretty cool.
yeah.
Super. So, I also, by the way, read very interesting fact because DBS continues to be one of the largest banks in Singapore. Is that correct? Um, they're trying to experiment, just as an FYI, with they intend to use DBS for the UPI technology so that all top 4 or 5 banks in India can transfer money directly, instantly to Singapore. And the platform I think that they're chosen is DBS to make that happen. So a lot of cool stuff happening in the banking side with DBS is what I wanted to highlight.
Right.
Jumping to the fact, right, now that we spoke about the kind of cognitive banking, the products, everything else, and so on and so forth, and how you're very digital native. Uh, I'm bringing in an angle of marketing to this, right? Now
Right.
that you have this much data, how does data help you, in terms of getting marketing success? And how do you actually measure that success from your terms?
Yeah. So we actually have, with all those engineers, we have all of the tech that's built in house, right?
Okay.
So um, we have something which is called nudges, right, that we have for our customers. And
Sure.
to just explain the nudges, let me sort of take an analogy, which is, let's say you're planning a birthday party, right? You have a sort of exhaustive list of invitee that you can have, but you can't call all of them. You don't have the space, you don't have the money for it. Maybe you don't like all of them as much now. So you're going to then start working on.
Surely we don't like as much now,
I'm
for
just
sure.
saying that then you're going to
Adulting.
start working on a more realistic list, right? And then to reach out to these people who, let's say, is your invitee list now, you will know that somebody responds on WhatsApp better, somebody, let's say, responds on a Gmail better, somebody responds on an SMS, or you have to ring somebody's doorbell, right? Or sort of push a note under their door. You know how each of the friend is going to how best he's going to sort of take the message, right? Also, you know that some people read these SMS in the morning, some of them only check it in the afternoon while sort of reading their office emails, or somebody scroll through that in the evening, right? So that's essentially how nudges work for us, right? Which is,
Nice.
it really starts with first segmenting the audience. And how do we segment the audience? Basis their potential and what they engage with, right? And then you have a set of objectives that you have, right? So it could be onboarding, it could be cross buying, it could be upselling. You could have various objectives, so you layer the segmenting with those objectives, and you layer that further with the various mediums that you have, and you layer that further with the various timings of the day and other such considerations, right? And that's when you can send, again, personalized and effective nudges to all your customers. So that's one part of how the engine works, right? There is another part which helps us personalize it in terms of the way messaging works, right? We have another sort of, again, completely internal engine, which, like somebody was talking about ABCDE testing, we can actually feed hundreds of creative iterations for the same message, for us to know that what works best with this segment of a customer. So these combinations, for instance, could be about of the subject line, or of the pre-header, or of the way you sort of introduce a conversation, or of the CTA, or of the image, or of the color. We can
Sure.
sort of do all that experimentation to know what works best. And since the time we've sort of launched this automated engine, again, just speaking from a business perspective, we've seen almost 50% jump in our open rates, which is one of the pet peeves of
Wow.
all sort of email marketing efforts. And we've been able to also impact almost to the tune of 2x on, let's say, our on our savings and our the business, right? So that's just to give you some of the kind of work that we do, right? Yeah.
Super. So here I think A/B testing is doing the trick. Segmentation, personalization is something that you any which was doing of sorts. Any particular channel, or that's kind of and let me split this further, right? Two kinds of communication, right? Transactional and this thing, right? So transactional and promotional. Promotional, I like to know what channel. But apart from text and email, are you doing transactional communication on any other channel of sorts?
So transactional, like the more service-led, are email, SMS, push notes on our own.
You're doing transactional push notifications as well.
Absolutely. We have very, again, automated push notes, personalized push notes is something that we
Interesting.
do very effectively on our app. Yeah, and for promotional kind of work, we truly believe in omni-channel marketing, so to say, right? And um, again, just I'm sure sort of everybody talks about omni-channel marketing sort of very often
Sure.
these days, but just to sort of shed some light on how we treat omni-channel marketing, right? It's not just about being present 360, which is whether it's digital, physical, offline, online, paid, organic, right? But it's about how each of these channels strategically impact the other channel, and how does it in fact improve the efficacy of one channel to the other, right?
Understood.
Which basically is what a true, let's say, funnel marketing is about, right? And again, talking about funnel marketing just for a second more, I mean, all of us marketers have been sort of taught funnel marketing, right? And increasingly, we are not stopping at the funnel, but going to what we call the hourglass marketing now, right? Which is that we don't stop at just when you've acquired the customer, but
Yep.
we want to further nurture him through the customer journey, to lead to adoption, expansion, and then actually recommendation, right, of our products.
It's more about the experience,
yeah,
than just the transaction of sorts.
Exactly, right? Because that's when you can deepen the relationship with the customer and impact the business as well. So again, just to give you an example, in one of the television commercials that you saw in the beginning, or the digital video that you saw in the beginning, which was talking about the whole unbank, right? So when I sort of joined in about 2.5 years back, we came up with this new digital proposition of the unbank. Again, stemming from this whole promise of live more, bank less, right? We believe that a lot of or we saw that a lot of banking is heavily jargonized, right?
Right.
It's unnecessarily
Yeah, they scare
complicated.
people off.
Yeah, I mean, it's unnecessarily complicated, right? And it doesn't need to be. And we, with us, having digital on our side, we wanted to de-jargonize banking for us. And I mean, when you saw that sort of the clip that we played, essentially what we were trying to do was that, again, we were trying to talk to the customer in the language that they understand. So one of the first things that we did, and I will encourage you guys to go and check out the DigiBank by DBS website, is that we completely refreshed our website. And we believe that it doesn't look like any other banking website, right? I mean, to begin
Wow.
with, it has a levitating girl as the banner, and then it talks in a language which is so much more in line with the audience that we talk to, and it sort of translates banking to their everyday life, right? And talking about that omni-channel marketing and talking about that hourglass, once we had refreshed the website, we took that same message across all our different channels and mediums, and we started talking. We built some tenets for the unbanking, right? Like, we're going to be de-jargonized, we're going to be simplified, and it's not just about tonality, but both form and function. So even, for instance, our website, we reduce the number of clicks that you need that to get to the product that you want, or finding the products on the top navigation bar, making it easier for the customer to find the CTAs, right? So those were the kind of things that we did on the website. And further, we sort of like I said, took it across different channels into video, this thing, cutaways, and even to our different products. So when we sell mutual funds, for instance, and we talk to the we try and so the proposition that we have for mutual funds is stay ahead of the game, and we use sporting analogy to coach our customers on how to choose the right mutual fund for yourself,
For
right?
educator.
Yeah, to educate them, right? So everything was very de-jargonized, very unbanked, because like you heard, people don't need banks, they need banking, and that's what we were trying to give them, right? So
Very nice. Super. So one of my last questions, is, I was talking to you and I realized that you guys started digital first native,
yeah,
right? And then now you're in a hybrid omni-channel mode, right? Where you
Right.
feel you want to do a right mix of, branch banking as well as digital banking, right?
Right.
One, what led to it and how's that going, right?
Yeah.
Truly omni-channel way of sorts.
Right. So I call it a bit of a reverse journey, right? Like, all banks are trying to be digital. We've like done that, and we're moving
Working
toward,
backwards.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's backwards.
Back-
It's still moving forward,
Fair
and there
enough.
is a method to why we're doing like this. So yes, I mean, we all sort of have spoken so much about how COVID's got us, to embrace digital, and the banking is one of the first sectors where people sort of embrace digital, because I mean, you had to spend money, right? But you couldn't step out, so you had to use digital. But the truth of India remains that while digital can be used for payments, right? But when people have to move their savings, trust comes when they look at a physical branch around them. They may never
Fair.
walk into the branch,
Sure.
but there is a trust factor that comes with that branch, at that sort of warm body or that physical structure that exists, right? So with that, and with the sort of amalgamation with Lakshmi Vilas Bank, we got an expanded footprint of 500 plus branches now, which makes
In
us
India?
in India,
Wow.
yes, which makes us like I
Brilliant
said,
number.
one of the largest MNCs in India. And what that is actually helping us is expand our offering, and what it allows us is to have absolutely seamless journeys, whether it's digital or physical, or if it's phygital, right? So I have internal systems where the lead could be digitally generated, for instance, but physically fulfilled, right? Or I could have a product which pushed digitally, but can have an RM, sort of solving for some of the queries, right? So this physical and digital coming together in for us is in fact a beautiful sort of reality for us today, which is allowing us to expand, grow, and also now reach out to a whole lot of Indians and customers that were otherwise not going to come to us because, let's say, the lack of trust or the lack of comfort with digital
Fair
offering
enough.
alone.
So you're saying it's more not of a need, but it's more trustworthiness that's gotten you to get these banks in.
Yes, yes.
Very, very smart observation. So guys, I think with this, wanted to end the conversation and keeping time check in mind. Any questions anybody has about the digital banking bit? Brilliant. Can I have the mic there, please?
As you started with this digital banking, right? So like cutting the branches and having entirely digital. My question is, at that time, having challenges with banks like ICICI and all those bigger names, right? How challenging or what was the thought process at that time that, getting those people from the physical phase to the digital phase? What was the thought process at that time? How was the plan of creating a brand awareness at that time?
So yeah, one, we did not cut down branches. That's how we introduced ourselves in India. I mean, there were no branches in the beginning. If at all, they were just SME and catering to business clients. So we thought that and which was in a way a foresight, right? Which is that India was ready to move their banking digital, right? And just to sort of quote a number, we got 1 million customers in just the first 1 year of our existence, right? And
Wow.
each one of us, you would notice, does not necessarily have just one bank account, right? We may have one bank account which, let's say, your father introduced to you when you were young. Then probably your first organization which opened a salary account for you.
All of us have many of those.
That yeah, and then there is all. I mean, we believe that there was a space for a truly digital bank with the understanding of banking and not banks alone, right? And the customer proved us right, which is because these 1 million customers, yes, digital mavens, the younger audiences who embraced us, they told us that yes, India was ready to start transacting and moving their sort of monies into a sort of digital this thing. The challenges that we faced, of course, there was an awareness challenge, and you have to sort of build on it. So one of the things that we did was we got Sachin as our brand ambassador, right? Which gave us instant recognition, right? And that instant trust factor. And, like what Apoorv was saying, there was a huge amount of Singapore lineage that we brought with us, right? We are the Asia's safest bank for 13 years in a row. Like he said, we are one of the
Round of
largest
applause for
banks
that, guys, please.
So,
13 years. Huh?
I mean, those were the kind of credentials that we were not just nobody's coming from, somewhere from the back of beyond. Like, we are really an established entity, and we were just expanding ourselves in India with the right set of technology. So, yes, I mean, those were the ways in which we tried to overcome the challenges.
Thank you for that. Anybody has any more questions?
So why do we don't have IMPS for current accounts?
Why don't we have a place for current accounts?
Yeah. No. What I'm telling you is, why do we don't have IMPS for current accounts?
IMPS for current
why
account.
don't we have IMPS for current accounts? So, I mean, there is a whole lot of business and sort of reality that comes with IMPS. And I don't think it's about not having IMPS, it's charged. I don't think it's not there, it's charged. And it's just a business reality. There is no other reason behind it. I mean, current account works for a certain reason, and hence there has to be a certain controls and checks in place, which is why this, yeah.
Sorry, we didn't get your name though.
Mudassir.
Are you a customer of
I'm
the
from
bank?
a production team.
Sorry?
I'm from a production team.
Okay. But are you a customer from the bank? Do you use DBS?
Yes,
Yeah,
we
so
do use DBS Bank.
Yes, I'm going to take that as feedback in any case. Yeah.
Please do.
That's a feature request. Super. Anybody else had a question? Wow, there are more people. Go for it.
Hi, Anisha from Luminous. I actually have two questions. Sorry about that. So the first question being banking regulations, like they're so strict, like coming up with these kinds of ideas. how challenging was it to challenge the banking the regulations and the laws and the norms that are there?
Right.
That is one. And the second being the cognitive banking piece that you talked about in the beginning. I see that, quite similar to a lot of these apps that I have on my phone and I've personally used, like things like Moneyfi,
Right.
or, like something like Splitwise and stuff like that. It's not exactly banking, but some of the features are, very intuitive to me. I would like to use that.
Right.
But being, something like that, and that coming into banking, where people are a lot concerned about what information are they seeing from my bank account.
Right.
Have you had any customers raise concerns about, privacy and like things like these?
Right.
So these are my two questions.
Right. First, yeah, thanks for acknowledging our pain, which is about the regulations. Yes, it is a heavily regulated industry. And in fact, there are two challenges that we faced. One is this external regulatory body, right? And then there is a whole lot of, so to say, stakeholder management that one needs to do as a marketing sort of team, right? So I think what we try and do is that we only promise what's honest and what we can deliver on. That's point number one. There are no superlatives in our conversation. Just a very minor sort of thing. We never use the word advice, right? Because we don't advise. We can only sort of give you the right set of information. So, for instance, again, just for mutual funds, right? We have a partner called Morningstar, and Morningstar has this rating, right, wherein they rate the funds basis their past performance, and there are various criteria, right? And we give you, every fund has a rating. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So our customers get these newsletters which tell them about the 5-star ratings, right? So again, and like I was saying, I mean, we just our mutual fund proposition is stay ahead of the game, right? Where we coaching you. We're not telling you that this is the right fund for you. What we're telling you is that how to make that choice, right? We're enabling you, right? So we try and stay on the right side of what we can and should give as an information to the customer. And yes, what we've actually managed to do is give the same information that most other traditional banks also give, but just say it with a slightly more younger tonality, right? So what you heard, let's say in the Unbanked film that you saw, we didn't promise anything which was out of the world or something that we couldn't deliver on, but we just said it in a manner which is far, younger and, sort of more, so to say, de-jargonized in its tonality. So that's the shift that we've tried to bring. On your second question, in fact, like I said, we are one of the safest banks. All of this information, the problem actually occurs is that when your bank and your transacting apps, or let's say your investment apps, or let's say your international transfer app are 4 different entities, right? That's when there is a transfer of information and transfer of data. What we are promising you is a completely safe and secure environment on just one app, which has the 2FA token, which is in a way that you don't have to sort of feed your sort of password every time. It's enabled on your phone, right? All of that is in that one app on your bank account, which means that if you have to transfer money, you can do it via that app. If you have to internationally remit money, you can still do it via that app. If you have to make an investment, you can continue to do it via that app. Or if you want to now, let's say, travel. So I have, we can make travel bookings on our app, right? So all of this, in fact, makes sure that it is not a broken journey. Your data is not getting outside to any other third-party platform, and everything happens on the app. So that's when, in fact, anyone who comes on our platform understands and starts to appreciate the safety that we provide, because we are the bank and everything is possible on that one seamless platform.
Super. Any more questions, or we're done? You have one more? Yeah, can we have a mic here? I hope I'm going to take this as the last question. We've already overshot time.
Hi, Ashish from Luminous here. First of all, I must congratulate you guys. For the first time, I just saw your website. It doesn't look like a bank website at all.
I'm glad you saw it. Thank you. Yes.
So my question is twofold. One, did you guys invest in Indianizing your offering, especially the digital bit?
Sorry, invest in?
Indianizing your offering for the Indian audience? Was there any challenges on that front? And second one, for a low involvement category like ours, is there any suggestion that you can give for us to leverage the digitization wave more?
So what's the category that you work in? Sorry.
We are into power backups.
Oh yeah, okay. So Indianizing the first question, which is that product has to be with the Indian regulator basis what the Indian regulator does, right? So while we are an sort of Asia-based bank, but all the products are under the strict guidelines of the Indian regulator. So of course, how every other bank performs is how we sort of do, of course. But our tech and our platforms, a large part of it continue to be built in Singapore. So that's something that we could sort of pick and start using. But even there, so we recently forayed into credit cards, right? And we have a separate app for the credit card that is being developed in India, right? And that again is a first for anywhere in the world in DBS. All of technology has been centralized, but the first time for the credit cards in India, we are building technology also in India. So yes, products are Indianized based on the the guidelines of the regulator. Now, your second question, which is of I think, and one of the other categories that we heard in the afternoon was Duroflex, right? Which is again a fairly you would think that a category that nobody thinks about, right? Or banking, or let's say power banks, right? Yeah. So I believe that fundamentals are fundamentals, right? So while we may say that Kotler is something that we need to burn and throw away in this new digital world, but the true fundamentals of brand and being so honest and consistent with your brand continue to stay as of today, right? So if you have a certain purpose of your brand, let's say in our case, live more bankless. I'm just quoting Duroflex, like they believe in sleep, right? Whatever may be your purpose, if you stay consistent with it, and if you're able to provide solutions honest solutions to your customer, inspired by the purpose that you believe in, I think after that it's just about taking that to different channels and different mediums. But you just need to have that consistent red thread to everything that you do. If you're able to do that, and if you're honest with that one purpose, that you're truly solving a problem in a consumer's life, I don't think the category really matters.
Thank you, guys. I think that'll be all. But I love the fact that I got sold on the bank from a standpoint that we'll get nudges if I don't receive my rent. And I got sold at the fact that we are paying double money to Netflix. So I think pretty cool. I think cognitive banking as a term is new to me, and I'm going to definitely Google about it. But thank you so much for these insights
Thank you.
and the
Yes.
conversation, Megha.